5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and launch. Go Falcon, go Koreasat.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
LND propulsion is nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying the Koreasat-6A satellite. During ascent, we tilt or gimbal the engines, and that turns the rocket horizontally.
Power and telemetry nominal.
A maneuver known as a gravity turn. We're still going up, but now we're also heading horizontally away from the launch pad. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Great callouts on the nets. And max Q is a critical moment during flight because the combined stresses caused by Falcon 9 accelerating through the atmosphere and the ambient static pressure are at their greatest.
Max Q.
Great call out for max Q right there. The rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and get into orbit. Now we have 6 events coming up in quick succession. Main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, stage 1 flip, second engine start 1, or SES1, boost back burn start, and fairing separation. During MECO, we'll shut down the 9 Merlin engines, which is followed by stage separation. Once separated from the second stage, the booster will flip its orientation.
Following a nominal trajectory.
The booster will flip its orientation and begin heading back to Earth with a short boost back burn, while simultaneously the second stage MVAC engine will ignite for the first time, followed quickly by fairing separation. We should see all of those events happening back to back in the next few seconds.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
MVAC ignition.
Some awesome views on the screen of those events that happened back to back. MECO, stage sep, S1 flip, and SES1.
Fairing separation confirmed.
An awesome view of fairing separation as well. We'll be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth using our recovery vessel, Doug. Next up, we are waiting.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
And we just had confirmation that we completed our boost back burn. So it's about T plus 3 minutes and 40 seconds into today's mission. And at T plus 6 minutes and 32 seconds, we expect to have some great views of the first stage entry burn. For the entry burn, we relight 3 of the M1D engines on the first stage.
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Starting with the center E9 engine, followed shortly after by the E1 and E5 engines, which slows down the vehicle as it passes back into Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which ultimately helps us recover and reuse the first stage. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, but we're still moving really, really fast. And this causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, which is also known as the rocket's plume. And this deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle surface, which is why our flight-proven vehicles look so toasty. And that soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, the RP-1. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investment in critical scientific research. And as a reminder, the Falcon 9 first stage that is supporting today's mission will be performing this entry bird for its 23rd time. It is a super clear today, and we have some really great views. You can see that both the Stage 1 and Stage 2 vehicles continue to pick up speed. The Merlins on the first stage are
Both vehicles
optimized.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Great callouts there. The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level, and these achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and entry. The MVAC engine is optimized to operate in space and produces 220,500 pounds of thrust in vacuum. So after entry burn and landing burn, we will shut down our MVAC engine on the second stage, and then the landing burn will actually happen after that. And as a reminder, we are targeting a landing at landing zone 1 at Cape
Stage
Canaveral.
1 entry burn startup.
And there is the beginning of entry burn.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
An awesome view of Stage 1's entry burn as it heads back towards landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Space
Both
Force
vehicles
Station.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
In about 30 seconds, we will begin the landing burn on Stage 1, where the center engine E9
Stage 1
will
FTS
land.
has saved.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Stage 1 transonic.
All great Stage 1 callouts right there.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
An awesome view of landing
Stage 1
burn.
landing burn.
We are now waiting for Falcon 9 to land back on land at landing zone 1.
Stage 1 landing leg deployed.
And there you have it. That landing marks SpaceX's 364th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
Nominal parking orbit.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
We also had SECO 1, and with that, let's return to our mission in progress. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase, during which we're going to take a short break. And after the coast phase, we will light that MVAC engine for a second time around the T plus 28-minute mark, and that will be followed by payload deploy around the T plus 34-minute mark. So we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. Welcome back to the Koreasat-6A mission. We've had a great mission so far with incredible views throughout, actually. Falcon 9 lifted off at 12:22 p.m. Eastern from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. We had a successful ascent, fairing separation, and second stage orbital insertion for those callouts, which should be happening in the next few seconds. An awesome view of the MVAC, which has now lit up for its second burn. In total, this burn should last about a minute until we have SECO 2.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And with that call out, we have second engine cutoff, or SECO 2, and we're now just a few minutes away from payload deploy. And as a reminder, our customer for today's mission is KTSat, and SpaceX previously launched KTSat's Koreasat-6A communication satellite back in 2017. We will continue to have views, and we will have views of payload deploy, which is in about 15 seconds from now.
Koreasat-6A deploy confirmed.
And we heard the call out, and you can see right there, we had successful deployment of the Koreasat-6A satellite as it moves away from stage 2. And that wraps up our coverage for today. Thank you for joining us for SpaceX's 107th successful launch of 2024. All of us here at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer, KTSat, for entrusting us with today's mission. We also want to give a shout out to the Eastern Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's launch. And as always, thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in and your continued support. Remember to follow @SpaceX on X for launch updates, and join us later today for a Starlink launch from Slick 40. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.